So if you're joining me for this video, you've probably got my morning mindset journal in your hands, whether someone gifted it to you or whether you decide to buy it yourself. I'm glad that you did. It's going to be well worth it for you. It's an absolute game changer in your personal development, joy and fulfillment in your life, and success in your business as well. So it covers all areas. And I'm hoping that you'll tune in with me here for 10 to 15 minutes so I can really give you in-depth awareness around why this process is important. Because if we don't have a true motivation and a why behind something, we'll often go through the action of just doing it, getting it done, checking the box, and moving on. And if you do that with this morning mindset journal, you won't find the value in it and you'll end up ditching it after a few weeks and you'll be like, what is this good for? So I'm going to give you the real scoop on why every single piece of it is so important. Now, a little bit of back history on why I created this journal. I found myself years and years ago back in the investment industry feeling a little burnt out. I was crossing days off of my calendar every day, just going, I'm so glad the day is over. And it dawned on me one day, I didn't understand, why am I crossing days off of calendar like a prison sentence? I should be loving my life. I should be so excited to wake up and start my day. But instead, I was so excited to cross one off like I had survived a day. That was a light bulb moment for me where I was like, something is not right. This is not normal. So as I dug into it, I started to look at the core things that were creating that feeling for me. And for me personally, I came up with a few things. One, my mornings, quite frankly, were not good. They were rushed, they were frantic, they were reactive. I did not enjoy the way I started my day, which then in turn kind of had a domino effect on the rest of my day. I wasn't miserable or anything. Don't get me wrong. I was successful at this point in my life and it wasn't awful, but I was just trying to figure out, why do I feel this way at the end of the day? So that was a key component. My mornings were not starting great, which didn't lead to a great day. I also found that I was in a place of showing up as what I call a chameleon. I showed up as whoever the person across the table from me needed me to be. So if I was talking to Bob and I was like, okay, he needs me to be this way, he needs me to say these things, I showed up that way. Then I was talking to Jane or Susie, I was showing up differently for everyone I sat across the table from. So there was a lack of authenticity, which was absolutely exhausting. Imagine putting on a different kind of persona every single time you sat down with somebody. Exhausting, right? No wonder I couldn't wait to cross the day off the calendar. I also realized that at the end of the day, I didn't feel super fulfilled. I felt like I had just done what everyone needed me to do, but I wasn't feeling like I was really responsible for creating what I wanted in my life. I also realized that I used to think my happiness was based on other people's happiness. So it would kind of be like this, well, I'm happy when you're happy, which was an indication that that was not a solid recipe for happiness and joy. I needed to find my own happiness. And there's a few other reasons, but I just kind of wanted to give you a background understanding of what were some of the things that were showing up that led me to realize that I was not living my best life, that I was not creating success at the highest level that I possibly could. So as I continued to investigate that, I started to think about, how do I fix some of these things that are really causing the breakdown in the system? And oddly enough, I also saw these same things in other people. So it was a little bit of testing myself and testing other people. Once I started to kind of reverse engineer every single aspect of it, I started to come up with this formula. So for example, if I really didn't like my mornings and I understood that it was because they were reactive, they were rushed, they were hectic, I know, simple enough, I needed to get up earlier so that I didn't feel rushed. I needed to stop looking at, emails and everything else first thing in the morning to where I would be reactive. I needed to sit down with myself. I needed to create peace in my morning before anything else. If I wanted a different morning, I had to do something different. So that was one aspect of it. And then some of the other pieces wow, I don't really feel like I'm creating what I want in my life. Just start taking action for that. Don't really feel like I'm showing up authentically. I need to fix that. So again, as I looked at all these components and reverse engineering them, I came up with a process that I could do with myself every single day that would combat, proactively reverse everything that I'd been doing before. So I created this morning mindset journal with these prompts that would address every single piece of it. And as I mentioned, like, this was not just me. As I looked around the office and I started to help other people, I'm like, many people, I almost said everybody, most people fall into the same category. And maybe you yourself right now are even thinking like, I can relate to that. I have definitely had those reactive, stressful mornings, or I often wear that chameleon suit too and show up for people how they need me to show up. Don't really get much of my own joy in there. So maybe you're relating on some of those aspects. So let me break down why each piece of that morning mindset journal kind of gives attention or plays a role in combating that. So if you have your journal and you look at it, the first thing that it states, it asks a question, it says, I feel, right? This is just a statement of awareness. You could feel tired, you could feel excited, you could feel grumpy. No judgment, don't care. We just need you creating awareness. You see, as humans, we are the only species that have the ability to create self-awareness, to look at ourselves and go, oh, this is how I feel. This is what I think. That is a major, major asset. Like animals, they don't have that ability. They can't separate themselves and see that. They feel something, they react to it, right? They're very reactive. They don't have the ability to look at how they feel. We have this ability, but very few of us actually use it. What we think is what we feel. If we actually take inventory of ourselves and go, I feel, we're creating self-awareness, which starts to create a habit of that all the time. So I feel is just a statement. The next one says, how can I adjust? What do you want to do about it, basically? If you feel a certain way and you don't want to feel that way, what do you want to do about it? That's your choice. That's an empowerment piece as well. It's part of honing that responsibility skill. If you don't like that you feel tired, do something. If you don't like that you feel grumpy, do something. Your responsibility. We're not going to be a victim anymore. Then we move into your intentions. This is where really you get a say in your day, where you get to create what you want in your life. Now, you might be thinking, well, I have this job, so how much of a say do I get? You get a lot, because you get to say how you show up. You get to say how you feel. You get to say what you do at that job to a degree, right? If you're a leader and you have a role to fulfill, sure, you need to be at work and doing your job, but you can create an intention around being curious. You could create an intention around moving more slowly and thoughtfully. You could create an intention on scheduling a one-to-one. So it's about these little things that you do in your day that start to shape up your day to look a little differently. Where you, like I said, you get a say in your day. What are you trying to create? Either for yourself, your company, your employees. Start being intentional about what you want to show up in your day. That's the intention piece. Not to be confused with a to-do list. We don't want to just write, laundry, pick up dry cleaning, walk the dog. Those are to-do items. And in the end, yes, it feels good to kind of accomplish things, but that will not lead to lifelong fulfillment. And you will eventually feel like, what is my purpose for? So the intentions are really about like, where do you want to create something in your life, in your being? How do you want to feel? Things like that. When you move on from intentions, it moves into affirmations. Affirmations are about choosing the thought that you want to believe about yourself. Now, this can be fun because you don't have to choose something that you already are. For example, if you want to be a peaceful person, but you feel like you're usually pretty high strung, you can start writing the affirmation, I am peaceful. The power of this is that when you choose a thought, it creates a feeling and that creates an action. So one of the first things I ever chose in my life was peace when I started doing this. And I would write, I am peaceful. And in my intentions, I would write, choose peace. And every day I would walk around, and when something would happen to me that would usually rattle me, I would say out loud, I'm choosing peace. I'm choosing peace. I am peaceful. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm sending the message to my mind, and then my mind starts to feel a different way. It's crazy. Not my mind, my body, right? Like the thought creates the feeling. And then it would stop me from reacting because the thought I had gave me a more peaceful feeling, let the time pass for a moment, and then I was moving on. So those affirmations are a place for you to grow into. It may be an affirmation for your day. Say you're leading your team today. You might have an affirmation of, I'm charismatic, I am patient, I am thoughtful, I'm a great communicator. Those affirmations are who you want to call yourself out to be. And again, choose something that maybe even seems like a stretch for you right now, but that you want to lean into. After your affirmations, we move into gratitude. And the gratitude is really a mindset shifter. If we start practicing gratitude for the things we don't think we should be grateful for, our mind changes. We start to see opportunity in every environment, which is a real blessing, because if we see things exactly how they are, then it kind of closes, it puts the blinders on. And so if we get into a car accident, nothing serious, right? We get into a car accident and we automatically assume this is the worst thing ever, then the blinders come down and this is how we're going to experience that event. However, if you get into the place, and stick with me here, that you can go, there's got to be a blessing in this. There has got to be something I can be grateful for here. Then the blinders open up, right? And it allows us to see things. And then you might go to this place of like, thank goodness nobody was hurt. Thank goodness I have insurance. So it really starts to shift your mindset in all things that you do if we start practicing that on a daily basis. After the gratitude, you move into prayer. This again is about really the mindset piece of it. It's about asking for what you want. And this is not like spiritual, religious, use it how you want, but it's about putting out there what you want in your life. What are you asking for? Few different pieces of this. One, it affects our mind because if we're asking for it, then we generally start to do something to make it happen. We start to see things differently. It's a part of our brain, the reticular activating system, that engages to go, well, I'm seeing myself in this really peaceful place, leading a team with this promotion. So your mind starts to go, okay, if that's what you see, let me help you make that happen. So that's part of the prayer. And it's also about giving yourself the space to want. Desire is really at the root of motivation and action. So when you want something, when you pray for something, it's going to start to get that motivation going within you, which is going to drive your thoughts and your actions to succeed. And that's your process, right? You go through this awareness, this intention, affirmation, gratitude, prayer, visualization. You've now just spent 10 minutes creating a relationship with yourself, creating a totally different day for yourself, having a say in your day, shifting your mindset, so that you can take responsibility for what you want in your life. That's the morning mindset process right there. And then at the end of the day or first thing the next morning, you can go through the reflection phase. The reflection is huge. Don't skip this. So many people try to skip it. You have to do the reflection because this is where you learn. This is where you grow. This is where you find that 1%. It's one thing to set it in action, but if you don't reflect on it, you don't learn. I mean, think about if a team played, Monday Night Football and they just played the game, whether they won or lost, and then they were just like, well, that was a good game, and they never went back to watch the tape. That wouldn't happen, right? They're going to go back. They're going to reflect. What could we have done differently? What was good? What wasn't so good? What did we learn? So I need you to be that, playing back your day to reflect on those things. And it's just a couple of quick questions, right? Did your values show up? Where did you find joy? Where did you win? Did you accomplish your intentions? No judgment if you didn't. I actually love this place when I don't accomplish my intentions because I get to feel like this, okay, I get to learn something about myself. What got in the way of me accomplishing those? There's always something new that you find out. And then what did you learn? I use this in my book writing process, and I think you all probably have the Non-Negotiable You book. If you don't, you can get it on Amazon or my website. But as I wrote that book, I struggled in the beginning to commit to my writing. And every day I would set an intention around it. I'd miss that intention, and I would investigate, gosh, what got in the way for me? And I would figure something out. I'd figure it out like, well, I don't like to write in the evenings. Okay, we're not going to do that anymore. I'd set the intention again the next day, miss it. Okay, what got in the way? Well, I can't write in between clients. It's not enough time. I can't get in the headspace. Okay, let's throw that out. Try it again. It took me several tries before I finally figured out that I like to write at about 4 o'clock in the morning in my office, in the dark, in my bathroom. Crazy, I know. But I would have never figured that out had I not gone through this process, right? And many times, maybe you can relate, we go through something again and again. We talk about banging our head up against the wall, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again, expecting a different result. This reflection gives you the space to learn, to tweak, to optimize, to show up differently. So between that whole process, you're probably talking like 10 minutes in the morning, maybe 3 minutes in the evening. Imagine investing in yourself for 13 minutes a day and having the impact of more joy in your life, more success in your life, more peace, authenticity, being able to control your mind. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's one of the hardest things for me to do is articulate everything that you get out of this practice, because every day I hear from somebody that tells me something different. Just last night, I had a call with a group and somebody said to me, that journal helped me so much last year. It helped me figure out so many things about myself. And she didn't elaborate because we were in a group, but it serves a different purpose for everybody. But the one thing that's consistent is that you're devoting time to yourself. You're learning about yourself. You're showing up for yourself. And that will never, ever, ever lead you wrong. Never. So I hope that this has given you the foundation of understanding why the Morning Mindset Journal is so important. I hope that you really lean into it. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm always happy to answer questions. So as you go through it, share with me, reach out to me. And a couple of things that are really important to remember, this is not a perfect practice. Nobody's judging this. Nobody's going to read it. Be yourself. Give yourself grace. Find out how it works for you. But it's not about perfection. It's not about performance. It's about creating a relationship with yourself and creating meaningful success and a life that you love. So give yourself the time and make it happen.